Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to wake up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi and Corey Clark.
Tennessee. 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 Tennessee.
Lord, I've really been real stressed, down and out, losing ground.
I don't know what we're going to talk about today, Corey, but let's do a radio show. It's called Wake Up War Chant right here on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee, brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. Those three awesome locations over in the College Town District, Central, Madison, Social, and Township, Aslan. Figure it out, man. Corey, your well-being right now, how would you describe it?
Wonderful, wonderful. Healthy, happy.
You look good. You're kind of radiating right now.
Oh, good. Well, I'm pregnant. No, I got done with the walk. I feel like I got the heart rate going a little bit with the walk.
Let me ask you a question. So we went somewhere that was walking distance within Doak after we sat down with Willie on Thursday, which we're going to have a whole bunch of content, I assume, coming on warchant.com this week from our sit-down. We could have gone like in the other direction. We could have gone south from Doak, but we decided to go north from Doak to go to the establishment we went to because it was within walking distance. We could have gone anywhere. Did you just want pizza that day? Was that like your thing? Did you want pizza that day?
I mean, it was easy. No, but it was a nice walk. I enjoyed that walk. It gets me out. Get a little exercise. I try to walk about 15 miles a week.
Did Bob Tom? Wow.
I try to, yeah.
Impressive.
Hey, my man, this ain't an accident.
I hear you. Okay.
This is not temple.
That's what I'm doing.
This ain't an accident, man.
All right. Did Bob Thomas walk back with you?
He did. Well, Bob Thomas is a fitness freak. He's a runner. His kids are runners and all that. Wife. But yeah, no, he walked back with me. Nothing wasn't hard for him at all.
Don't want to call anybody out, but the guy that we call 5-star around these parts.
Well, he walked there.
He did. All right.
Yeah,
Small
but
steps.
on the way back, yeah, no, he wasn't having it.
We just got to get more water in your diet, man. You got to rid of this high fructose corn syrup concoction that you drink.
I'm trying.
Okay, so spring game is in the books. I'm sure we'll continue to talk about that. Only thing I want to do some house cleaning on was I did a bad thing and read what people were saying about our podcast from Friday when we made some sort of comments in terms of what we had in front of us at the time regarding Deondre Francois. So apparently we said the words bad look a bunch of times. A whole bunch of people got really upset about that. Like, how many times are they going to say the words bad look?
Well, it is a bad look.
Well, anyways, don't say it again.
Well, sorry, guys. Hey, you know what? It was a look, and it wasn't a good one. How about that?
Did you? I haven't gone back, and we should probably have pre-production meetings when we do this sort of stuff. But were you able to go back and, re-digest what happened? So ultimately, like, we were told, we read originally that night.
It was a very vague story, the Democrat, which, as we now know, now that we have more information, we see why it was. He was not arrested. He was surveilled
for 2 months.
I assume they obviously thought there was more going on there than weed intake. Let's put it that way.
Come on, though. How can you be that far off?
And I think, I'm not thinking that it was like a 2-month stakeout, which, Johnson and Griggs, you're on the clock now from 8 to 8. See who comes in and out of that apartment, and then we're going to take. I don't think it was that.
When I hear surveil, that's what I was
exactly.
thinking.
I can't picture. I mean, they just don't have no local police departments have the resources for that for any kind of drug offenses. So I think they must have thought something bigger was happening there, or something much more, hard than weed.
Well,
being consumed.
They confiscated, or what's the proper word? They intercepted, or I don't know, but like a couple paraphernalia items and stuff in the lead up to this, and eventually got a warrant, and then went inside, and then it netted them all of less than 20 grams of marijuana.
Yeah, and like I said, it's, for the Tallahassee Police Department, who routinely covers up for football players. I don't know who lost the memo here, but what are they doing? What in the world's going on? You're supposed to cover up for these guys. That's what we were told 4 years ago, that all the TPD does is cover up for football players.
They're on the payroll, right?
Yeah, exactly right. They just everything winning above all else. But so it's a diversion program. He was not kicked off the team, nor should he have been. But I thought Willie was really good after the game on Saturday when he was asked about it. Spoke honestly about it. Said it's an internal matter, which we get. The punishment is and should be. But did say that he needs to figure out, he needs to change the people he's hanging around with and what he's hanging around. And it's good for a head coach to say that, because it means that, to me anyway, it means that he cares he cares about the kid, I think, and he wants the kid to get back on track.
Good segue. We didn't even talk about this in a pre-production meeting, which we did not have. So that's something I saw on the boards. One person started a thread on the Tribal Council, warchant.com. Hop on over to Warchant right now. Get your free 30-day trial, Warchant30 promo code. and said that based on those comments that Willie made after the Garnet and Gold game, that to this particular poster on our forums, to him that sounded like Willie needs DeAndre. Like he needs him good to go because maybe that position is lacking. I interpret it as he's just a good guy and cares about the kids that are on his team. And if it's not going to work out for him ultimately playing football, he wants a kid to at least walk out of this university with a good head on his shoulders. And he's trying to, get him on a better path. And listen, I know it's just pot. I get it, everybody. That's just pot. I get it. We get it. I understand. But you can't do that stuff, right or wrong. So don't do it. Stay out of trouble and everything's better off. So that's the situation we're in. But I don't know. I mean, did you read into any of those comments either way? Was it more along the lines of Willie just kind of being a father figure, being a coach, being a leader, wanting his guys to be on the straight and narrow? Or is it more of one of those things where, like, maybe he does think after 15 practices that he needs somebody else maybe in the fray?
I don't think it's that. But I do think that he thinks Deondre Francois is talented. I think he's trying to tap into whatever he needs to tap into to make this guy figure out what he needs to figure out to be a contributing football player again. I don't think he thinks, oh, man, I can't be stuck with Blackman and Hockman. We got no chance with those two guys. But like we've said repeatedly, they're better if Francois is on the team and pushing both those guys. And he knows that. And Francois could be the best quarterback on the roster. And he's also a quarterback, which Willie Taggart, that's what he was. That's what he knows.
Once a quarterback, always a quarterback.
And he knows how important that position is. And quite frankly, Deondre Francois is one of the, 5 most recognizable people on the team? 3? He started at quarterback for an entire season. There's 2 of those on campus. Yeah. And he's been known now for 3 years. He's a famous guy. He needs to act like he's famous. I mean, I know he's a college kid, and it wasn't a violent crime. It wasn't anything huge. But you're a quarterback at Florida State. You could be starting in the opener. It's he knows he needs him. It's not all altruistic. It's not just I want Deondre Francois to turn his life around and be a great person. Willie Taggart needs Deondre Francois and wants Deondre Francois as a part of his program. It also it could benefit both people, and it needs to benefit DeAndre when he I feel weird even saying turning his life around. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not.
But no, I mean, to a certain extent, you got to get rid of these, the ex-girlfriend out of your life, maybe the people that you're hanging. I mean, listen, Willie's the one that said
current girlfriend. We don't know the situation.
Willie's the one that said that he needs to start hanging out with his teammates more, which makes it sound like he's probably not hanging out with maybe the strongest support staff or the guys that he wants his potential starting quarterback to be surrounded by.
Correct, and whether love is a funny, weird thing, and we all do weird things, and I don't.
No
want
one loves me.
Yeah, well, that's true. It's really a great feeling, Aslan. It really is. The heart beats a little faster. You wake up, the birds are chirping.
Yeah.
Even at noon, when I wake up. But I don't want to comment on a love life necessarily or a girlfriend, but he does need to switch something up. And for Willie Taggart to say that publicly means that he doesn't like whoever he's running around with. And he is a college kid. He is young, certainly younger than the two of us. But he's not 15 either. Like, at some point, you grow up and you start having some accountability and you start making the good choices.
Well, there's the thing, too, is everyone's like, everybody that's not – I saw somebody post, everybody that's not part of the Southern Baptist Student Union and the Jehovah's Witness Student Union has probably done what DeAndre's done. True. But we all didn't get arrested for it. We didn't get caught. Something you said about that as well.
You didn't get arrested for it, but what were they doing? Like, what led them to even be surveilling you?
Yeah. Anyhow,
and they were called to his apartment whenever that was in January. It hasn't been a great 4 months for DeAndre Francois.
I'm not trying to bury the kid. For all we know, he could be the starting quarterback on Labor Day or potentially somewhere down the road, which also kind of leads me to the fact of, I don't know, we haven't seen him play in live action in a long time. So I guess, Blackman's, the memories that we have of James Blackman are more fresh, and the games that are in our mind about James Blackman are against what you've been calling, Sunbelt teams, obviously, although Southern Miss is Conference USA. But
I know, I get that wrong.
Neither here nor there. Is DeAndre Francois a marked improvement, a markedly better quarterback than the other two guys that were out there on Saturday?
It's so hard to say, man. If he had played last year, yes. I think all that experience would have mattered. But he didn't. So he has had a year and a half off, essentially. In his last 2 games, he was, whatever he was against Michigan, 9 of 30.
Horrible.
He made the throws.
9 of 22 or something.
I mean, it was really bad with an awful pick six. And then the Alabama game, he had a nice first half. Not a great one because they only scored a touchdown, but they did get screwed on a non-pass interference call in the end zone. Did you see somebody tweeted the picture of that to us?
No.
When we were talking about that. It wasn't Izzo. It was a receiver. It might have been Nooney. But he was being pulled down in the middle of the end zone, and they didn't call it. So he kind of got screwed out of that. But anyway, he didn't play well against Alabama either. He had back-to-back terrible interceptions. So his last 2 games, albeit against elite defenses, weren't very good. And those aren't great freshmen. It's hard to have a lot of...
We're talking about elite defenses. Michigan didn't have what's his name?
Oh, they didn't have Jabril Peppers.
They didn't have Jabril Peppers, man.
No,
come on. Don't call him elite.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. And Florida State didn't have that Derwin James guy, but that was never mentioned once. And who's going to be drafted higher? Anyway, Francois was good against bad defenses in 16. Against good defenses, not great. But again, he was a freshman. That's the norm.
Redshirt freshman. But I think there's a certain faction of the fan base that doesn't give James Blackman that benefit. It feels very evenly split where there's a large part of the fan base that says, listen, man, James Blackman was a true freshman, thrown into the fire, didn't have the expectations to play.
Right.
And then, all things considered, I think he did the best he could and showed us some signs of real potential. Whereas, well, listen, man, then Deondre Francois was a redshirt freshman. He had 2 years or a year full to kind of learn things, but gets the pass. But James Blackman doesn't get this sort of pass. So it's weird how these sort of competing, factions within the fan base they're sniping at each other right now.
But what's weird about it too, to me anyway, is what they look like in that offense has so little to do with what they're going to be in this offense. It is such a completely different offense. You don't have 5 reads in this offense. You don't have to see the field in 3D or 4D like James Winston did and everything's moving and all the moving parts. It's simple. You have to be able to make a throw. You have to be able to make a read on a run or pull it out and throw it to the tight end. You have to be able to read the defense a little bit, not like you had to in Jimbo's offense, and you have to move a little bit. But it's not... The things that
all 3 of them can do everything you just said.
And the things that made a quarterback great in Jimbo's offense don't necessarily have to be the same things that'll make somebody great in this offense. They all have arm talent. They can all hit guys that are wide open.
And none of them are wildly accurate. Like DeAndre is not a very accurate passer, so that might be the edge, but he doesn't have that.
But yeah, they all have nice arms. They're not guys that just every throw is right on the money. That does. And most colleges kids aren't. But they're, you can't hold 2016 against Francois, really, and then not hold, and then they're both the same. 2017 Blackman wasn't great. He was also an 18-year-old true freshman in a completely different offense. He might be awesome in this offense. Francois might be incredible in this offense. What he did in 16 really doesn't matter. We don't know. I trust that Willie Taggart will figure out in the 30 days in August who the guy that needs to be starting against Virginia Tech is.
Agreed. I think DeAndre, I think what he did in 16, I think he was better set up for success because he did have the redshirt season. He did have Dalvin Cook to hand the ball off to. And James Blackman, Cam Akers was not a bad substitute for those things.
Well, really, Blackman didn't have, who was his healthy wide receivers last year?
I mean, who was DeAndre's healthy wide receivers, though?
Well, I mean, he had Rudolph, he had Bobo, he had Nooney for half a season when Nooney finally started playing. I mean, he had guys that he could, Auden Tate. He had guys that he could throw to. James Blackman had limping around Auden Tate and Nooney. That was it. Because heaven knows Tamorian Terry couldn't get on the field. Heaven knows that couldn't find a spot for that guy.
Too slow, doesn't know the routes.
Stiff.
The war shall rage on about quarterbacks, I'm sure, throughout the offseason. But we'll be right back after this. It's Wake Up War Chant here on ESPN 979 Tallahassee.
The excitement of the Willie Taggart era at Florida State is in full force. That's why now's the perfect time to sign up at warchant.com. Warchant.com will have wall-to-wall coverage of spring football practice, including the latest on position battles, coach and player interviews, video features, and in-depth analysis. Warchant.com's 3-team writers, Gene Williams, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark, have 50 years of experience covering the Seminoles. And warchant.com is the only FSU media outlet with a dedicated full-time recruiting analyst in Tallahassee with the latest on the 2019 class. For your 30-day free trial subscription, head to warchant.com and use promo code WARCHANT30.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Aslan. He's Corey Clark. It's Wake Up War Chant right here on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee, brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. 3 awesome locations over in the College Town District. Hopefully you guys checked them out over the weekend and enjoyed yourselves. And Labor Day, I'm sure it'll be a nice place to go to. But between now and then, find a way to get out there. Oh, hey, before I forget, Corey, let's go ahead and just do this live. Let's go do this live. Let me give you your gift for Brady. Let me give you the
you walking around? Oh, all right. You brought it in. It's I'll narrate here. He just walked out of the door. Now he's walked into this door, and he's handing me a napkin that says to Brady, Matt Ryan with his number 2. That's awesome. Yeah, it is. It's in a Ziploc sandwich bag. Yeah. I don't think this will go bad.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. The ink, it's a pen. It's just a Bic black ink pen. I just don't know.
All right. That's awesome. Thank you very much, man. That is really thoughtful.
No problem, man. Yeah, give the old Brady, man.
And they gave you an excuse to talk to Matt Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Actually, it was really quick. I just need to sign this real quick. I don't want to bother you too much, bud. Sign off.
He's supposed to be a nice enough guy.
He really was. He could have been, he could have faked it and just been like, yeah, whatever, man. And still done it. But he's like, oh, no, you're fine. No problem. It was really nice,
Yeah.
I didn't mention the fact that Geno Hayes, wrecked his life and career.
Number 2 in the country.
More so than Tom Brady ever did.
We lived in a time where Boston College was number 2 in the country. And before them, South Florida was number 2 in the country in the same year.
Yeah.
And LSU won the national championship with 2 losses.
We lived in a time where Wake Forest won their division in the ACC. Did they not win the entire conference one year? Did they actually win it?
Yeah, they went to they won. Yeah, didn't they go to the bowl game? They went to the Orange Bowl or something. Lost to Kansas or something like that. Maybe Georgia Tech lost to Kansas. By the way, Florida so I guess they're going to sign a new deal where the ACC championship game is in Charlotte for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Which is, fine. Whatever.
Why are we so upset about that? I feel like I need to be upset about it because I feel like everybody on work is upset about it.
What I get upset about is literally every sport is up there. Like, I would like to see a golf championship in Florida. That'd be cool. Or the baseball championship. I'd like to see the baseball tournament here. It was in Jacksonville, Buster's junior year, it was last year. But then I'm almost positive it's been in North Carolina the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's so North Carolina-centric, everything. And so put it in Charlotte, great. There's 4 schools in North Carolina in the ACC. They've combined to beat in the ACC championship game 3 times. They've won it once. Meanwhile, Florida State's been in it 5 or 6 times. Virginia Tech's been in it however many times. Clemson's close to Charlotte, but Clemson fans will travel to Albuquerque to watch them play in a championship game. So move it around a little bit. Maybe make it easier for other media or other fans to go to the game.
I think it's maybe logistics. Isn't probably Douglas Airport in Charlotte one of the more easy ones to get to? That's in the ACC, other than probably Boston Airport. But
the weather's terrible. The weather's usually terrible.
Yeah. Where could you do it? Where would you do it, Commissioner Clark?
You could find a way to do it. Pair it with the SEC game. Do it in Atlanta. You could do it in Florida. A number of locations.
Well, you would never dare pair it with the SEC. What do you mean pair it with the SEC?
Like
game?
the ACC game is at noon. The SEC game is at 8. Something
they
like
usually
that.
do theirs at like 3.
Well, I know you'd have to switch it up. Or the ACC game is on Friday, and like the Pac-12 does it, and the SEC game is on Saturday. Make it like a big sports weekend. I know that makes you feel like the little brother of the undercard, but typically you are anyway. So. I don't know. I just think that it's in Charlotte every year. In every sport, typically their postseason tournament in the conference is in Charlotte, and so is the basketball. And then they moved that. They felt the need to move that to New York for some reason. Explain that one to me, because nobody in New York cares about ACC basketball.
It's special up there. Well, they did throw it down in Florida for a few years, and then
look at those.
State decided, but that's not their fault, man.
But if
Miami didn't hold their end of the bargain, we didn't hold up our end of the bargain. They've never held their end of the bargain, though.
Put Boston College playing Georgia Tech in Charlotte, there would have still been 11,000 people there. Those were awful matchups in Florida. The first one was Florida State Virginia Tech, and that thing sold out.
And we were lousy that year. We were supposed to go to get stomped.
Michael Vick's brother.
Yeah.
So the matchups matter. But, heck, do it on a team's home field. Whoever has the best record.
I'd love that. There we go.
Let
answer,
Clemson
man.
play Miami in Clemson because they earned it because they had the best home record. Do that.
Pac-12 did that for a little bit, but now they're doing the whole neutral site thing. I just don't get where because the whole thing is neutral site games generate this revenue. And it's like, well, you throw the Pac-12 championship game in Levi Stadium. Who from Arizona is going to go all the way up to San Francisco? I guess some people will fly up there, but put it on campus.
Yeah.
I
don't think they're getting a ton of money from the ticket sales from that thing. The money comes from the TV contract and the game itself and the
I guess revenue. Corporate sponsor too. I guess,
but that would be a corporate. You could have a corporate sponsor at Doak If Florida State was hosting, say, Georgia Tech in an ACC championship game
but
here,
like Kraft Nissan or something. I mean,
you'd have a national sponsor for the
no
for
offense,
the broadcast.
Kraft Nissan,
Yeah,
strong.
Spirit could host.
Call
it.
us sometime. For sponsorship opportunities.
Or Madso, whoever wants to host the game. But yeah, the money comes from the advertising and the TV contract.
So 3 games. The first 3 games were in Jacksonville. Florida State beat Virginia Tech. Oh my gosh!
And
Wake Forest beat Georgia Tech 9-6.
I mean, in a pouring rain, and then wasn't Boston College.
Virginia Tech.
See, that's Jacksonville got a bad rap.
And then Florida, and then Tampa, my hometown, if you will, gets Boston College, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Georgia Tech. Those are the 2 games they got. I mean, 44. They didn't even get 45,000 in 2009 when Clemson played Georgia Tech. And
I was there in 2012. I don't know what they had the attendance at, but when Florida State played Georgia Tech in 2012, there might have been 35,000 people there, maybe.
That was an ugly day, wasn't it not?
Well, they're all ugly days in Charlotte in early December. I mean, it's cold and rainy and misty. But there might have been 35,000 people at that. They might have paid for it. They might have been 60,000 paid. Ain't no way there were 60,000 people in that stadium.
As I'm looking at this, I don't see any winner for Miami. All Canes Conference.
Oh, they haven't won the ACC football championship? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. They did make it one year, right?
They did.
This past year.
Correct.
How'd that go? I forget. Who they played Clemson? Did they almost win?
38-3. There's no number next to the 3, so it was 38-3. So it was quite.
They lost 38-3.
They lost 38-3.
Florida State in 1984 beat Miami 38-3 by that same score.
Yeah.
Jesse Hester with a 77-yard double reverse.
All right.
And Miami was the reigning national champions that year. Florida State went down there and housed them. Bernie Kosar was the quarterback.
Boom.
My dad got so drunk. So I was there.
Keep going.
I was not. So I would have been 9. That's crazy. God, that's crazy. We're at the Orange Bowl, and they sold beer at those games because it was a pro stadium. But they only sold it till halftime. So my dad was rushing. It was a race against time, and I felt really bad. So he got. Look, he was not in good shape, and he was really happy that they won. But he kept accidentally spilling some beer on the people in front of him. Not much, just a little drop here and there. You could tell the woman was getting a little upset because it was like 3 or 4 times.
Understandably so. No,
and he was loud. He wasn't obnoxious. He didn't cuss. He was just loud and fun and gregarious. But he was loud and drunk. And then midway through the third quarter, somebody legit bumps into him hard, and he dumps half a beer on her, and she goes ballistic. And it really wasn't his fault that time. He really got bumped into, but she had a right to be upset because of all the stuff that had happened. But, yeah, it was a fun game, fun day. I remember that.
Do you know what year?
He didn't drive, by the way. We had other people that drove us.
There was an Uber. You guys had an Uber.
Yeah, we Ubered it back. It was fine. He put me on the bus.
Do you know what year? What year was it that Florida State played Nebraska? Have they played Nebraska and Lincoln more than once than that Oktoberfest year?
Yeah, they played them in. They beat them in 80, and they beat them in 80. Yeah, they played them in 80, 81, 85, and 86.
Okay,
and they went 2-2.
I got to find out the year because I actually stumbled on some sort of documentary that WFSU did on Bobby Bowden. I think it was.
I know it's the 85 one. They went up there and won like 17-13 or something. Yeah,
that was really cool, and I started getting all nostalgic again for Bobby.
There's a lot of great stuff on YouTube about the old Florida State classic games, and the 1980 one. Bobby Bowden always said was one of the biggest wins of his career. They beat Nebraska was number 3 in the country, and they went up there and upset them and beat them. They caused a fumble at like the 8-yard line with 10 seconds left. And then the very next week, they had to come home and play Pitt, which had Dan Marino. Yeah. It was number 3 in the country and had like Bill Fralick and Hugh Green and all these great players. And they beat them like 36-22. And that's when I think that even though they had gone undefeated the year before and lost Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl, I think that was the year that most Florida State fans back in the time thought, man, okay, this guy's really good. That 79 wasn't a fluke. Yeah. He's really good. And they ended up losing to Miami. Their only loss was in the regular season was to Miami on a failed 2-point conversion.
Dude, how did he do it? Like, how did he pull this off?
I think a lot of it was the population boom in Florida at the time. It became one of the most populous states, late 70s, early 80s. Florida being on probation, quite frankly, really helped. That was the Deion class and the Sammy Smith class. Florida was on probation, so a lot of guys wanted to go there. And his power personality. I mean, if you're a kid and you get a chance to play for, I don't know, Charlie Pell, Galen Hall, or Bobby Bowden, who are you going to choose?
Right.
You know, I mean, he was a really appealing person to parents. He was a great recruiter. He played a fun offense, and he was a nice person.
The Bowden Rooski.
Yeah, man. It was a confluence of events, a perfect storm, where it's set up where they became that dynasty. But from 81 to 86, it was all 8 and 9 win seasons, and then 87 happened. But he turned it into a top 20 program, and then he hired Mickey Andrews, and then that 85 class turned it into a national power.
It's cool because you get to see him do pregame. They don't show you a lot of the highlights of the games on this documentary thing that I found, but it's mostly the pregame speech, halftime speech, and then postgame speech. But it's funny because a lot of what he did then, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at age 50 or whatever, was the same stuff he was doing towards the end. He's always referring to his notes and going over the same things like defense. Gentlemen, if they don't score,
we win.
We win. Saying the same stuff for 25 years, and it kept working. But it was just amazing to see because I'm like, man, how did they're showing them playing like in Jordan Hare. By the way, it's pronounced Jordan Hare. Can you believe that?
It's Jordan. I know it's Shug Jordan. No, you spell it Jordan. You can't pronounce it Jordan.
It's the worst. But
people
like in Auburn. But yeah, it just showed him going through the same sort of talking points that he had, but it would resonate. And I think somebody was saying that the one thing that Bobby had, like that knack that he really had, was he made every player feel like they were the absolute best at their position. And nobody else could and that wasn't like no one's on their level, but he convinced these guys that they're the best at their position, and they played so hard for him. And you would see it after the game, every single night he'd walk through baby, you're the best. He's like, you're the best dang quarterback in the entire nation. Go up to an offensive line, you're the best right tackle in the nation. I love you, man. And it's really cool. I just thought because I'm like, all right, man, because listen, I love Bobby. I mean, I respect the hell out of what he did for this university. And I know a few weeks ago it might have sounded like it was. Maybe not the case, but it was just, obviously the way things ended was kind of a really tough pill to swallow. But
what's weird about him is that when they became ultra successful was when he was more of the delegator, and he was kind of the grandfatherly role, the guy that just coached his coaches, end quote. But he was an innovator. He was an offensive mind. I mean, he was a really innovative coach and called some great, not just the trick plays and the reverses. I mean, he did a lot of things that people weren't doing and was very innovative and inventive. And I think that kind of got lost a little bit. What a great offensive mind he was. Because at the end, he was such a grandfather-type figure. People forgot, man, he was calling all the plays until the early 90s. Yeah. For 15 years at Florida State, he called all the plays, and he's a reason even in the dynasty run, he was calling plays, and he was really, really involved in the offense.
Yeah, see, I never even realized when I was watching that documentary, I think it was against Auburn, I think. And I don't know, I think Danny McManus was the quarterback, I want to say, or maybe.
He was, and then he got knocked out of the game with a concussion.
Yeah, and Bowden called a trick play. He called it the Bowden Rooski, and he explained the reason he called the Bowden Rooski was because, there's such silly-looking plays, these trick plays, and if it goes wrong, he wants the kids to be able to say, listen, it was his call. The play's named after him. It's called the Bowden Rooski. I think they actually ended up hitting on it too, which was super cool. He's like, listen, if we get 4th and 1, we're gonna do the Bowden Rooski.
I remember the play. I was at the game. This is how my mind works, man.
You were in Auburn for this?
I was in Auburn. It was the Bo Jackson game.
Yeah.
It was they faked a dive over the middle, and
everyone went crazy.
Everybody went crazy because they thought they'd stopped him. He had put the quarterback, I guess it was McManus at the time, put the ball behind his back, and then threw like a 50-yard pass to Hassan Jones, who had gotten by because the corner thought it was a run, so he'd stop momentarily, and Hassan Jones ran by him. Now, Florida State still lost 59-27, but still, it was a good effort. Yeah. It's a good effort. It was close in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. They kind of glossed over that. They showed that play, and then it was then they showed 2 or 3 picks, and they kind of let you know that it probably didn't end well, and then Bobby found Bo. He's like, Bo, you heck of a player. He's like, the difference in the game. He's like, if we had you, we would have won.
Yeah, well, he wasn't lying.
Yeah, and it didn't take him long to start getting guys at the caliber of Bo Jackson and taking this thing to the next level. Yeah, the reason I brought it up is because I read that column from Ira that he wrote about Willie, obviously, and just the magical feeling Saturday. He has a really good column, Corey. I almost want to say it might be column of the month right now, warchant.com. So
you thought Ira's was better than mine? Oh boy,
I don't know. People love your column though, man. A lot of people were doing gifts
also,
of Ken Griffey going home run.
Ira had 36 hours to write his column.
You're right. That's not fair of me.
Daddy over here,
you're right.
That was 44 minutes.
Yeah.
That's off the top, baby. That's off the dome. If I had 36 hours to craft, holy moly. I mean, that would be like a Picasso.
Yeah. All right, well, we got 3 minutes to craft another segment. We'll be right back after this. More Wake Up War Chant coming up right here on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
He's Corey Clark, senior writer for WarChant.com. I'm Aslan Hajavandi, director of digital media for aforementioned websites. Wake Up War Chant right here on ESPN 979 Tallahassee. Brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. So, senior columnist, senior writer, Corey Clark, penned a really great column after the game and in the immediate aftermath.
Thanks, buddy.
I mean, I'm not saying that because you're across the glass from me, because the glass protects me. You can't.
I know.
This temple of yours that walks 15 miles a week can't get at me without some resistance being out there. But I feel like, Ira maybe kind of gave his take on things in the same vein, just in terms of the feeling and the atmosphere that was there Saturday, and just how likely it is to sustain throughout this offseason and into the season, hopefully, if the wins start piling up. Yeah,
and it was a really nice column. And I think, when I was offered this job and thinking about this job, not to get too much into the inside baseball.
No, dude, I want to know. I don't know.
One of the reservations I had was, it seems like Ira and I will be kind of redundant. We do the same thing. I obviously do it a lot better, but we still do the same thing. And obviously, I'm being facetious there, but so that's what I wondered, is how will I fit? But I think we look at things differently. We obviously have a different style of writing. His is coherent. But we notice things. Like, I don't think it dawned on him. Not that I don't think it dawned on many people the irony of Willie Taggart doing what he did with the crowd, the fans. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the last time the last head coach dealt with a fan, it was to tell him to get his ass down on the field. So stuff like that maybe occurs to me, but it doesn't. The stuff with Bowden didn't really occur. You know what I mean? Like, right. That was something that Ira caught on to, and I think that we kind of not to toot our own horn over at War Chant a little bit.
The greatest.
Toot, toot, toot.
Ultimate Seminole source.
Yep. But I think we complement each other in that regard. We see things differently. We write differently. We have different opinions. We certainly don't agree with each other all the time, but I think we're both unique in the way we see things. And I thought Ira's was really, really well done, because, yeah, man, that was just the players aspect, the former players feeling so welcome. And I just mentioned it barely in my column. But he, that was basically what his was about, was the embrace of the past. And it's just perfect, man. It's just exactly what this fan base needs at the exact right time. Say what you want about the guy that was before here. He did great things. I don't think he was very approachable. He certainly wasn't lovable. I think, and I'm really interested, you mentioned Willie Taggart's booster tour starting up next week.
Yeah.
I think Willie Taggart is going to make some huge fans on that booster tour. I think he's going to be great because he's approachable. And look, he doesn't have time to kiss babies and talk to everyone all the time. I mean, he's there to do a job and to speak, but he will be approachable. He won't be looking on his phone. He'll want to talk to you. He'll want to meet you. He'll look you in the eye. He'll shake your hand, and he won't be looking like he's distracted or want to be somewhere else.
At least for a few years.
Exactly.
And the other guy's fence. I mean, I don't know.
But I don't think Jimbo ever was great at that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Bowden was obviously the king of it. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about how Bowden did it, that was another thing. He was on the road a lot during the spring and summer, drumming up interest and drumming up money, and he was great at it.
Before the internet came around and we started posting stuff all the time, taking away the steam of these booster meetings.
Right, yeah. And if he said something funny that was a joke, now we'd be tweeted out in half a second. So, but I think Willie Taggart's going to be. I think
right?
Taggart's going to be great at that.
Yeah.
Well, all the Spurrier stuff he said about Free Shoes University and you can't spell citrus without UT. Those were all at booster events that just got reported.
But I mean, I think.
But don't you? I mean, again, as an alum, and now you were here during the dark days, but as an alum, to see these people come back and to feel a part of the program, it does feel more like a family now.
Like I said yesterday on the show, man, it's it felt like a carnival, but like not in a bad way, not like a silly clown. It wasn't a clown show. It felt like it felt like the state fair, man, and the weather was perfect, and you had a nice big tender turkey leg in one hand and a funnel cake in the other, man. It was good football, and it was good feeling. It was good atmosphere. You had the meat, and you had the sweet tooth was kind of met by it. And I don't know, it's something so simple that Willie Taggart just shows up and has that, excuse me, the day before the Garden and Gold game on Friday, they had some sort of alumni meeting over the Champions Club or somewhere in the stadium.
He hosted like a dinner or a get-together. He might have paid. I mean, I don't know. He might have paid for it. He might have organized it.
Yeah.
But he did it. It wasn't clutter.
Exactly. The fact that he could show up and just like, and I think Andre Fluellen or somebody in the column, recounted this to Ira, was just the fact that he said to them that he just felt like there needed to be more camaraderie around here when he got onto this campus, and maybe not even so much with the current players, because we've heard him say that many times, that he felt like this was a team that did not play for each other. but even the guys that used to be here at Florida State. And again, it's such a diverse group of people, and it's maybe not just exclusive to Florida State, but when you're talking about guys that played in the 80s that helped establish this thing, guys that helped build into what it was in the 90s, and then kids who frankly came here to live that sort of that standard up and weren't able to, but making them feel welcome here. The rank and file, as Ira said, it sounds so simple, but it was never done here before. And the fact that Willie's doing this right now is just it's just creating so much goodwill that I think it's not a platitude. I think, I don't know if it's going to equate to a win when you're down by 6 on the road in Clemson, but I don't know. I just feel like when you create this sort of good energy around you, it's got to bear fruit in other ways.
And I think even more than that, what's really noticeable and what's been a little bit of a surprise to me, actually, is how much Jimbo's guys seem to embrace Willie Taggart. In Ira's piece, he talks about how much Jameis loves Willie Taggart, and his parents stayed longer than he was supposed to because he just likes being around the program. He likes being around this person. And Jameis's parents stayed the whole time, even though their son had already left. They were on the field. They were at the Garnet and Gold game. They stayed, even though he hadn't played in 4 years now. And I mean, that says something. They feel connected to this guy, and him being able to bridge that gap. Obviously, it makes sense that the Bowden guys would hold him in high esteem, but he's replacing Jimbo Fisher. And the guys that Jimbo Fisher recruited seem to hold him in very high esteem and have a real nice connection with them. From Jalen Ramsey to all of them, Derwin, they all seem to really like the guy. Jameis and Tovin Smith was there.
Mm-hmm. Chris Thompson was out there.
They all really seem to have a warm spot for him, and they seem to be fully on board. Which, he won a lot of games. The previous guy won a lot of games with these dudes, and he recruited them, and they're in the NFL, and I'm sure they give him some credit for that. But for them to be so open to the new coach, man, that says a lot, too, about how he's building these bridges. And
that was my concern when we were talking about this in February and March, was the fact that this whole, we're going to predicate everything on being fun and loose. Part of my concern was, people go to Alabama, they know it's going to suck. They know they're going to play really physical practices, and they're going to be fighting for their job every single day, but the best guys go to Alabama so they can go win championships. But the guys that came, I felt like those same guys that gravitate towards Alabama gravitated towards Florida State and Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher, made no bones about it. It was, you come here, we're going to get you right. 3 years, you'll be out of here. You'll be able to change your family's life around. So I'm like, you need those kind of guys that are that singularly focused, and all they care about is getting to the league and winning games. And you're seeing the guys that Jimbo recruited pretty much, I don't want to say lamenting things, but Terrence Brooks, Chris Thompson tweeting out the fact that they were thankful for their time at Florida State when they were here, but dadgum, if they weren't able to play under Willie Taggart, they'd be pretty stoked about that too. So I think that's a really encouraging thing. That guys,
and Jernigan reaching out to the Jalen Parks kid and other guys, they're reaching out to these guys that are on the team now, even though they've been gone for 4 or 5 years. The guys that are big time in the NFL now. It's nice, man. Again, the bridge. I would have thought I knew he'd be able to connect with the guys from the 90s. They're his age. He grew up with them. He's relatable to them. I thought he'd have a harder time, maybe initially, with the guys from 11, 12, 13, 14. But you're right, all of them. Terrence Brooks, James Wilder, Devontae Freeman. They're all tweeting about Florida State.
Everett Brown was a guy that Ira spoke to, Andre Fluellen. These are guys that came here and they thought they were going to help build Florida State or resurrect it, and they fell short of it. But they're being welcomed, and that's huge for those guys.
I think he is going to be a recruiting animal. I just think he is going to be. It's going to be Alabama, Florida State every year, and
Georgia. Don't forget your boy Kirby.
No,
man.
I think he's. I think he's going to be the guy after Saban when it comes to recruiting. I think he's gonna have his pick of who he wants, as long as they're not going 4-8.
Right.
If the results on the field are even 8, 9, 10 wins, man, this thing is going to get rolling quickly, because this guy connects with players and families and parents more than it's pretty incredible to see, and all over the country, not just Florida people. And they want to come because it's fun, and these players look like they're having fun, and that's a big deal. Now, winning is more fun than all of it, but that has to come first. But all the other stuff is going to add, because again, if you're a 5-star wide receiver, or anyone, 5-star period, would you want to go play for Nick Saban or Willie Taggart? I'm asking you.
He's put Julio, he's put Amari Cooper in the league. I could have put
Calvin
Ridley in the league.
Julio could have gone and played at Hawaii. Yeah. He could have played at UTEP. He'd have been in the league. That my point being, you're good enough that you think you're going to the league regardless of where you go. Right. You want to enjoy your 3 years of college football experience. Where would you go? I mean, I
probably Willie.
But I'm saying it's going to be a conversation now.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Jimbo was kind of Nick Saban light. Like, when you go to Jimbo, well, if you're going to go to Jimbo, why not go to the real thing?
Yeah.
Why not go to the guy instead of the carbon copy of the guy? Go to the actual real person. This is a whole different deal. So you have elements to attract kids that Nick Saban doesn't, quite frankly. Now, again, Nick Saban has a huge, well, he has all the championships. So that's attractive. And he sends 10 guys to the NFL every year. I get why that's appealing. But I do think Willie Taggart is going to be like a Dabo Swinney, a guy that's the antithesis of that gets the other players with different ways than just selling NFL, selling teamwork and camaraderie, or whatever Nick Saban sells, that gets those guys to come
deer antler
be
spray,
fourth stringers. Yeah.
Free.
I think he's going to be. I think he's just going to be a recruiting. I don't think I articulated that very well. I will write a column about it where I do it better.
Right.
But I do think that Willie Taggart is just going to be a monster recruiting.
Receivers coach David Kelly said it on that signing day ceremony over at the Tallahassee Car Museum that, don't get it twisted. Dabo, Urban, Nick Saban. He's like, Willie Taggart is the best recruiting head football coach in the entire nation. I mean, he said it. So. And it's probably going to bear fruit here sooner rather than later. Let's wrap things up here on Wake Up War Chant right after this here on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hot and so hot in her, so hot and
He ain't lying, man. I don't know how Tom Lang does this for 3 hours.
It's so toasty, doesn't it?
It is hot in this room, man.
Yeah.
I'm Aslan. He's Corey. It's Wake Up War Chant brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. Corey, we only got a few minutes because we ran long in the early segments, which is totally fine by me. Hey, let's go back and look at the over-under stuff that we did from the other day that we weren't able to get to, right? So DJ Matthews in the spring game, the over-under was 6 catches. He actually caught 6.
Oh, he did catch 6.
So it was a push.
Okay.
We all went over, so it was a push. The longest play from scrimmage being 50 yards. Both you and I took the over. Gene went under to be a contrarian. We got that right. Obviously, LeBourne, 91-yard run.
Crush that.
Deontay Sheffield had a 65-yard catch.
DJ Matthews had a
71 yards.
Yeah.
All right, so we hit that. Carries for Cam Akers, 8. Cam had 12. We all went under. We went under. Gene went over. So Gene got us on that one.
Okay. All right.
Blackman, 2 touchdowns. You went over, I went under. Blackman only had 1.
Okay.
So, and then sacks, 6. That one, we all picked the over, and we were right on that one. Logan Tyler, his punt average, 42 yards. I think it was like 39.5, or 39 on the dot. I went under, you went over. And then the attendance, Gene and I went over, you went under.
So I feel like I did terrible in all of them, but I really missed on the attendance. That was pretty remarkable.
I can't believe you didn't believe that everybody was going to come out in full force for this.
Man, I know the stadium, Doak Campbell Stadium, didn't believe people were going to come out in full force like that. That was pretty obvious. Hey, I was going to ask you though. Speaking of that song, how are we doing with the Tender Tuesdays? How are we doing? We haven't heard anything about.
I'm supposed to have a lunch date today. Or
later on today.
Later on Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay.
12:30. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, lunch date usually isn't good for a Tinder tale, but we'll see what happens. You never know.
Well, I mean, look, it might spark something. I'm not looking for like deets of what happens on a late night. Man. I know it's what we're all trying to do. Right. But I want you to find love.
I'm out here trying to make it happen. Yeah, it's weird. I have like one chip I'm trying to work on the Bumble. There's a girl on Bumble that's like really hard to get a hold of, but like that's a more serious prospect. But then there's these Tinder prospects that are like in the AA ranks that we're just trying to get ready, just get some reps, get some live action, take some hacks in the cage.
I feel like every time you make that comparison, I feel like you're ruining your chips a little bit. You're soiling your chips.
She's not listening. She's not listening. They
don't know what you do?
Yeah, but it's not.
I feel like if I was you, that's all I would do is tell people, I'm on the radio every day. Yeah, I'm kind of important.
No, it's the last segment of the show, so surely she's not going to scrub all the way to minute 46 of the podcast on a Tuesday.
I feel like
she got me. Chelsea, I think you're really cute, so if you're listening to this, sorry.
Chelsea, I mean, what's going on with you?
Yeah, just like let's get this going already. Just stop taking like a day and a half to respond to my messages.
Tell her we can do a double date. She'll get a chance to meet me. Would that be enough?
No, you're going to ruin it. Come on, I can't put you, dude. It's going to totally steal everything away from you.
Well, that's true because
you're
not me.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. I apologize, but yeah, you need to keep us up to date every Tuesday. We're going to do this.
I'll try Tuesday or Thursday. We'll see how it goes. Or any day. We're not going to have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk
It's
about
going to be a lot
people.
of Aslan's dating life.
Yeah, so sorry.
Oh, I got a real quick story. Speaking of dating life, and this is a good one to end on. Did you have something important to get
I was
to?
say, well, baseball's playing today.
They need to start winning if
Andrew
he's going to break
Karp's
this
going to
record.
be the starting pitcher because of the whole weather nonsense that happened. So I don't know. I guess they'll probably try to get 4 or 5 innings out of him and then shut him down and maybe have him ready for Sunday like they did against Florida.
I don't know. It's hard to say these days, man. Who knows with this pitching staff?
Yeah, we'll see how.
But
that
they got
goes.
2 against Stetson.
Yep.
They need to win them if he's going to break this record this year.
Yeah,
They
not
need to
breaking
start
in the land.
Pick up some W's. So this is kind of a gross story, but I'll make it quick. Driving to the game Saturday, Stephanie was meeting friends for tailgating. So sometimes as a man, if you listen to headlines, you hear me clearing my throat way more than I need to be. So I had to clear my throat. I had to hawk up something maybe.
Oh, no.
And I didn't have anywhere to spit it out because I was actually drinking something. So I looked around. I'm like, oh, there's a half water bottle on the floor. Picked it up, spat in it, didn't think anything of it. Literally 11 hours later, Stephanie and I get in the car after the concert, and she goes, wow, that water tasted a lot like, no, she goes, it tasted like Reese's, because I eat Reese's a lot, and I had eaten Reese's.
Why are we talking about this?
And, you were just dating life. And she goes, yeah, it was, it tasted like, it's on the cap, but it's on the tip of the bottle. And I, for 30 seconds, I hesitated if I should tell her or not. And then she started to take another sip. No, that's right. She took 2 sips of it. I'm like, wait. And then I had to tell her. She's like, what? Because I started laughing right away. And she goes, what? And I go, nothing. And she goes, no, what? What did you do? Did you pee in it? And I go, no, I didn't pee in it. And I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything from that part of the body. But this is what happened. So, so that was fun. But we've exchanged stuff, fluids. Jeez. Kids are listening to this. I'm sorry. Guys,
girls.
Guys and girls. The moral of the story here is if you use a spit bottle in your car, throw it away when you get out of the car. Like, take it with you wherever you're going. In my defense, I didn't know she would just see a half drinking water bottle and decide to take a swig. 2, after it tasted like Reese's the first time, she decided to take another swig. So, yeah, that happened.
My dating guru, Corey Clark. I'm not going to be single for long with advice like that. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to the program, folks. We'll catch up with you again tomorrow. Jeff Cameron coming up at 3.
These recruiting updates are nothing but fluff.
Are you wasting your time again on free blogs and social media to get the scoop on FSU recruiting?
Yeah, it's all bait and switch. Get me excited with a headline, but get nothing in return. You're on warchant.com. What's really going on with FSU recruiting?
Could be another top 5 class, but for the real scoop, you'll need to get your own War Chant subscription.
What's it cost?
Free. There's a 30-day trial offer. Just sign up and you'll get full access through signing day. And nobody has more accurate and timely information on recruiting than warchant.com.
You know I like free. Sign me up. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole source.